Greetings and welcome, or perhaps welcome back to this latest episode. I recently had the pleasure of talking to Heather Gibson from Spice Ultimate about all things Ultimate. From her early beginnings in the game to where she is now, her S&C coaching to the development of Spice Ultimate and gender equity in Ultimate. We cover a lot of things in a short space of time. I'd hoped to get this episode out before London Invite, but unfortunately I didn't have the time, so apologies to Heather for that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know in the comments who you think I should chat to next. So I am joined by Heather Gibson of Spice Ultimate. Heather, thank you very much for joining. How are you getting on?
Yeah, well, good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. So, yeah, I mean, pretty busy week for you, sandwiched between Windmill and the London Invite. I'm sure you have tons else you'd love to do this week, so I appreciate you taking the time. Shall we start with some background about you? Do you want to tell us a bit about yourself, how long you've been playing Ultimate, who you've played, who you play with, who you're now playing with, and what inspired you to get started?
Sure. So I actually come from the juniors sort of side of things. I played for WUCC when I was a junior, and I started when I was 15. So I've been playing now for 7 years. Basically, I was inspired by my sister when I went to, I know, cringe.
No,
I went and
fine.
watched her play. I went and watched her play at a GB event at juniors, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever, and I immediately wanted to play. So then I went and did my own GB junior cycle, and then the year after that I played for Hydra, which now no longer exists, but at the time was a pretty decent club to join when I was just 16. So that was a really great experience that I really enjoyed. And then I kind of took a little break, and then when I went back to uni, I picked it up again, and then finally ended up trialing for Spice because my WUCC teammate Amy Van Zyl pushed me to do so because she was like involved in the sort of foundation of Spice, and yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Cool. And before you played Ultimate, I believe you played at a good level at tennis. Is that right? Did you play any other sports as well?
I did play tennis, yes.
Yeah.
I did.
I've done my
I
research.
sort of played. Yeah, I did. I sort of had just started phasing that out at the point where I started playing Ultimate. So I played like for a year, I played both. But yeah, I played at quite an intense level, and I was kind of done with solo sports. So thank God for Frisbee. I'm more of a team sport player for sure.
Fair, nice. And you've mentioned it kind of a little bit already, but you're a beneficiary of the GB underage teams. I guess tell us some of your fonder memories from that cycle, and what are kind of some of the key learnings you've taken from your time with those teams.
Sure. So I played for GB under 17s, and this was like my main motivator to even start learning Frisbee, is I really wanted to be a part of that, having seen it when I watched my sister play. I think, it's actually the biggest tournament I've ever been to before or since. So yeah. Firstly, it was an amazing experience on that level, just to see all the different teams come together in the same place. Obviously, I think that's always great to see when you go to an international tournament. And I think what it mainly was for me was a big eye-opener of what the sport can develop into. I mean, obviously it was only juniors, but there were still some teams playing some great Ultimate, and on an international stage, that's pretty inspirational. I think another thing for me is I am a pretty competitive person. I'm not the biggest fan of losing, so
I've noticed. Yes.
So it was fairly like an emotional tournament as well.
Sure.
So I think that really just sparked my interest in developing and becoming a better player, and seeing where it could push me to, I guess.
Fair. And do you kind of take anything from those early kind of learnings from that kind of that kind of disappointment, I guess, or those kind of like high level tournaments, and you kind of still like kind of draw on that experience now?
I would say I'm a pretty different player than I was then.
Sure.
I would say probably I learned a lot more when I then went onto the club scene, because obviously coming from a juniors background, and we were a pretty decent juniors team, and we were fairly decent on the in the GB cycle as players, and then going on to the women's club scene, it was like a totally different arena.
For sure.
All I did the whole season was run around and dump, and then run around again, and then dump. That's all I really did. So I learned actually quite a lot from that experience. I think generally speaking, that's sort of, I like to think of myself as quite a consistent player, and I think that's definitely just from the experience of having to do that, like run around and pass it off and run around and pass it off. So yeah, fair.
So a bit about you, I guess, outside of Frisbee then. So you're a PT, but also on a break from student life, right? Tell us a bit about what you study and your plans for going back, and are you going to do the PT stuff while you're back studying as well?
Thanks. I'm studying sports performance at Uni of Bath, and with a view to going on to studying strength and conditioning science as my master's. Nice. I do currently work as a PT in sort of like a year out, I guess, and I have really valued that experience, but I do want to work with athletes in the future. That's sort of where I would like to end up. I'm currently programming for a bunch of athletes, so I run my own strength and conditioning, coaching, I guess, business. And I would love to take that back when I go to uni as well and keep working on that. So I currently program for a lot of Frisbee athletes, but I have also basketball players and runners and powerlifters, and I really enjoy that variety. So generally just I like working with athletes. Yeah.
Fair. Yeah, and for anyone who's watching and doesn't know, I'm one of those beneficiaries of Heather's skill set. So yeah, no, I've enjoyed I've enjoyed your program so far this season. Do you take a particular style to your coaching for S&C?
A style?
Yeah, a coaching style.
Okay, so I would say my coaching style. Yeah, okay. I would say my approach to coaching is very individualized. I think athletes' needs are so different, and the demands of every sport are so different, that I think it's super important that you go in with an individual approach. And in that sense, it's very player led. So when I chat to athletes about their game, what they need, what they want to work on, what their strengths and weaknesses are, that is the most fruitful part of our partnership almost, because you gain so much from that initial chat, and then when you see those improvements in strengths and weaknesses, that's really sort of rewarding, I guess. So I think it's really important to have those chats, to have that individual approach with athletes, because we're all so different. What you need is totally different to what I need, totally different to what my teammates need. So yeah, I think it's always good to go about it like that.
Nice. Yeah, and I think I really valued that as well when we started working together as well, as having that initial chat. So what is your favorite and least favorite thing about coaching and training others from your S&C kind of side of things?
Okay, so my favorite thing, I have two favorite things. One of them's my selfish favorite thing, and then one of them's my less selfish favorite thing. Okay. My selfish favorite thing is knowing that my programs work.
Nice.
Seeing people progress when they stick to them, they do see results, and so that in itself is rewarding for me. And then on the other side of things, just seeing the impact it has on people, not just athletes, but the people I work with from the general public, I guess. Just seeing the confidence or the new skill set that they can learn, and the change that has on their mindset and their approach to gym and to S&C, or just to general training, that's really valuable. And that's something I really appreciate.
Nice.
What's my least favorite thing, I think, is definitely the lies that people are told. Generally speaking, there's a lot of misinformation floating around the industry, and I think it's a massive problem, and a lot of it needs addressing. So you just got to take it piece by piece, and hopefully do some myth busting along the way when you're working with people. But I think that's definitely my least favorite thing, is having to reverse a lot of people's beliefs
Sure.
about what they think S&C is, or what they think they can do for this goal, or what they think they can do for another goal. So that's hard work.
And it actually brings me on to my next question. So is there any myths that you like to debunk about S&C, especially in regard to its relationship to Ultimate?
Okay, I think sometimes we get trapped in like more is best. And I just think people try and go a little bit over the top with their S&C and the things they're doing. Really, I think it comes down to the basics and being efficient with your time and like valuing recovery. So I think it's striking the balance between efficient training and keeping it simple sometimes is the best way to go, and just valuing recovery, I would say, is a big thing.
Sure. You've mentioned in your playing history that you've played with various different teams. So you had Hydra and Spice. How did those two teams like differ in terms of their, I guess, like on-pitch style, but also in terms of culture? Okay,
sure. Good question. Obviously, when I played for Hydra, I'm a very different age and player than what I am now. So as I touched on, Hydra was super valuable to me in some ways. It really opened up my view of what Club Ultimate is and how much further you can go into the sport. I also said that my role was pretty junior. I just ran around, chased discs, tried not to make a mistake when I had it. But then also being a younger member of the team, I was 16 at the time and everyone was a lot older than me. So in that sense, it was different for me because I wasn't necessarily I was definitely part of the team. I want to make that clear. But I wasn't necessarily part of their culture because I was so much younger. There's a lot that you can't necessarily join in with. So I wasn't really in that side of things. Whereas being on Spice, totally different story. I think I've never felt more of a part of something than I do with Spice. It's like they're more than just friends. They're like a support system. They're like motivation. I think what's really special about our club is like every time I step out to go and do my S&C or my throwing, I'm like, oh, I'm doing it for my team. Like that's super nice. And I think the team is inspired by one another, and I love being part of that. I think that's just a totally different experience in that sense, as I feel truly part of this team, and like the work ethic as well is really good to see. Playing style, it was a long time ago. I'm not sure I can comment on the playing style of Hydra because it was so long ago for me. I don't think I had much strategy going on in my head at the time, so I don't really remember.
Chase disc and dump. Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No worries. So Spice as a club is kind of dotted around the country a little bit. How does that work with a big geographical spread for the player base?
Sure. So obviously we're a Midlands-based team. Is how we would describe ourselves. We have probably, I would say, like half the team in the Midlands. So pretty central. And then we have a large contingent also in London. Maybe that's people who, so like myself, I'm from the Midlands, and then a couple of other people as well from the Midlands, and then have just ended up moving away.
Sure.
And then we have a few just dotted around elsewhere. How does it work? So we have like team trainings, weekend trainings, and then we have also pods. So like geographical pods. So for example, I'm in London pod, where there's a group of, anywhere between 6 and 9 of us usually. And then we try and have like a similar focus across the pods for the week. So we focus on similar drills, similar skills, that kind of thing. But just like with a small group of us, and then when we come together, we try and sort of put the pieces together and work on, 7 aside, etc. So, we try and have like that small focus when we're in our smaller groups in our geographical pods, and then when we come together, we try and make that work.
Cool. And I guess last year was the first proper year of the club, so I know that you really kicked things off in 2020, but we all know how that went for everyone. What were some of the things that you were trying to achieve last year, and did you hit those goals?
I think going into last year, we weren't 100% sure what to expect from the season competitively. I think with the league and the cup, that was a challenge in terms of how do we prep for nationals, where the level was going to be really different versus what we experienced in the club in the in the cup. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I think it was tough because going into nationals, we were definitely underprepared in terms of match play. We probably had, I think we had like 3 friendlies, and they were really great, but we didn't really have enough match time versus this year where we have, you know, like I think 4 tournaments ahead of, and then WUCC, and then nationals after that. So I think we have so much more match time to prepare. Whereas like last year, we just wanted to go out and perform and like basically show what Spice can do. And I think on some levels we did that, and on some levels we have a lot more to show. And I think that's another big aim for us this season, is to show what we can do, and particularly show our newfound deep game, which you kindly brought up.
I feel like I'm in trouble. Yeah, I feel like I'm in trouble every time that I comment on like strategy and stuff, looking at teams. Like, you don't know me, like you don't know our route to success. Yeah.
Well, no, actually it was helpful, and we've definitely worked on that since then.
Awesome. Well, then you're welcome, I guess. And I guess then, like, any general goals this year before we look more specifically at like the business end of the season?
The team goals?
Yeah. Or do you not want to share them? You're fine not share them if you don't want to.
It's a secret. Our team goals are a secret. Yeah. No, I think we just, again, it's very, very performance based. We have some like final like placing in mind where we would like to sort of sit at nationals. But I'm not gonna reveal them. But yeah, we have some like performance aims mainly about how we play as a team.
Okay, cool. No, I think that makes sense too as well. So, I mean, I guess with enough of you with the experience of, you know, previous campaigns and yourself with like coaching background and stuff like that, like there's going to be enough people kind of leading in so far that that's probably the right route for you guys to be going down anyway. So looking more specifically at some of the tournaments that you've had this year, and I guess looking forward as well. So you'd Wind Farm a few weeks back and Windmill last weekend. How did the team perform? Are you happy with the results? Or I guess like with the kind of process goals in mind, more so at the stage of the year, like are you happy with how things are going?
Yeah, I think we're definitely on an upward trend. I'll put it like that. I think generally speaking, we're quite happy with our performance so far. There's obviously things we're more or less happy with. I think we could definitely be more consistent, and that's something that we're working on. But I think with the amount of match time we're going to have in the upcoming months, that's definitely going to be something we're focused on. Wind Farm, yeah, happy with it. I think in terms of where we placed, I think we were okay with it. We were, again, mainly focused on the process, mainly focused on taking on those deep shots, on some of our new offense that we've been, you know, trialing and training, but that was the first time that we had the opportunity to put it into practice and see how it looked on the field. So for our first competitive tournament, I think we were happy with the outcome, but also happy that it's highlighted things for us to tweak, because that's what it's for. Windmill, sort of the same. Pros and cons are like, yeah, good things, bad things, but bad things are learning, good things are successes.
Yeah.
So
fair.
Yeah.
And I guess like it's probably the first time a lot of you will played Windmill, so that format in of itself can be quite a challenge. So yeah.
Yeah, what is Swiss draw?
It's wild.
I've never heard it before, and I was like, what is this?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And I think like I was chatting to Freddie Rogers from Ranelagh last night, doing similar style chat to yourself, and we both kind of commented on this year being the first year it really felt apparent that the break time in between games is really punishing. And I think in part because of the heat, but like you really only have about 20-25 minutes downtime, and then you're kind of back out again, and it's pretty intense for the first 2 days entirely, and then the day 3 is a little bit easier, but at that stage you're pretty beat. So
well, I think day 1 was firstly a shock to the system. We were on the live stream for our first game, which I don't think any of us were expecting or prepared for.
Right.
I think like the heat, the live stream, the first time some of us had played together, you know, it was a lot, but I think we handled it okay. Yeah. But then, yeah, like you say, having 4 games on one day, we had basically 20 minutes to get in some shade, get in some water, try and fuel, which was like, I think the biggest challenge potentially, because you're like, I can't eat properly, but what am I meant to eat? I've got to eat something. And then like that, but back to back 4 times in what was almost 30-degree weather. Yeah, it was challenging. But,
so the team has unfortunately picked up a few injuries on the way, which obviously really sucks. And without going into specifics, like I do hope everyone recovers quickly and we see them on the pitch again soon. How will these injuries kind of impact the squad for WUCC and after? And do you have to game plan differently now that you lost a few of those players?
Yeah, so yeah, obviously it's a massive blow in terms of for the team, but I guess like on a personal note, I think because we are close,
So close. Yeah.
it was an emotional weekend, I think, for sure. That can be another added challenge. In terms of how it impacts the team, I think, you know, we had to do some line reshuffling, but generally speaking, I think one of Spice's strengths is that we don't rely on any 1 or 2 players. I think one of our strengths is that we have a really, really deep squad in terms of our cutters are like in my opinion, some of the best. And I think we like as a team, generally speaking, we put the work in, we play through all of our players. Everyone has a role. So in that sense, hopefully, although we picked up more injuries than we would like, hopefully overall we'll be able to like adapt to that and overcome that. Although certain roles are like, I mean, all roles are tough to fill. I think, we're coping with it and like just a little bit of like reshuffling from the coaches, and I think we'll be okay.
You'll be good to go. Sweet. So London Invite this weekend, another great chance to take on some of the best teams in the UK, Ireland and Europe. Goals for this weekend, or are you just going out another process focused weekend? And is there anyone in particular you're looking forward to playing?
Yeah, so I think we again are pretty process focused. I think we have so much to work on from the previous tournaments so far that we just want to keep focusing on ourselves. I think that's a big thing for us this season, is although we did have last season, it was so like disjointed and unusual that we didn't have the chance to sort of experiment in games. So I think the opportunity to do that now and sort of like really work our systems out and like focus on the performance aspect for us is definitely going to be the most valuable thing. So in terms of like placing and etc., I think we're just still really focused on taking each game at a time, which fits us as a team really well as well. Because I think sometimes in games or in tournaments, I think we have a tendency to look too far ahead, and that can sort of catch up on our mental game. And I think it did last season too. So I think that's a big thing that we wanted to avoid, is looking too far ahead. We want to take it match by match, point by point, and focus on ourselves and our own like mental game. And so that's sort of the aim there. Is there anyone I'm particularly keen to play? Yeah, we've not played Bristol since we played them in the Challenger League last year.
Nice.
I think I'm really excited to play them because like I said, we've not played them since then. We didn't get the opportunity to play them at Nationals or since. We've had a couple matches against Iceni, really tight 4 games, super enjoyable. Had a few really tight 4 games against Sick. Some not so tight 4 games against Sick. So the opportunity to play Bristol, I think I would be really excited by. We actually played Gravity this weekend as well.
Oh, of course,
the first time as a team, so that's pretty cool.
Nice.
Rematch.
Yeah. And then I guess that brings us on to the big main event on most people's cards this year, is World Club Championships. Only a few short weeks away now, so how are the team feeling going into that?
I'm sure like everyone, it's crept up on us faster than we would have thought. Tash put in our chat the other day, oh I think it's today, 1 month till Worlds. Yeah, it is. So like the countdown's truly on, and I think that's just sort of popped up out of nowhere. Again, like we're feeling, I think as a team, generally really positive vibe. I think we're knowing that we've put the work in feels really good. knowing that on a personal level, we're all doing the most we can for each other and for ourselves, that feels really good. So I think we're feeling fairly prepared, but you never really know till you get there.
Yeah.
But again, very performance focused. I think it's, as a team, this is quite like an intrinsic year. Like, we just want to focus on what we can do, how we can play our systems. I sound like a broken record, but that is what we're doing. Like, so yeah, super excited. Can't believe it's come up this fast. Yeah.
Fair. So this might be like the first like week-long tournament for some of the squad, or at least the first one in a while. Is there anything you're doing to physically and mentally prep yourselves for the event that might differ to, say, like a weekend tournament or a 3-day event like Windmill?
Well, I think just basically we've laid the groundwork since day one. Before we even knew we were going to work, we were already laying the groundwork for the season as a team. And since we found out, even more work has gone in. Yeah. I think so I'm in charge of S&C for Spice as a whole. So I've been overseeing that process, and I can confidently say that we have been grafting since September to make sure we feel prepared for July. Yeah. So it's not anything different than what we were planning for. It's just a case of making sure we're at our peak physical fitness, but also about making sure we're taking care of the details. Like, we always talk about sleep. Yeah. We always talk about foam rolling. We always talk about mobility. All these things that are going to play a massive role in a longer tournament that we need to take care of. So yeah, we're just relying on the foundations we've laid in off season, and just keep pushing from here on out. Yeah. Cool.
I guess similar question to the London Invite one, but I guess a slightly different framing to it. So is there anyone you're hoping to play against? And I guess when we look broader at the world, there's a lot of American teams going, there's like the Colombians and a few other nations that have these kind of, I guess, superstar kind of women's rosters that I guess it's easy to look up to and admire because of their talent. So anyone you're looking to play against?
Yeah, if you haven't seen Spice play this season, we are playing a little bit of Hex offense, which is a new system, but really, really fun and enjoyable. And I think I'm pretty sure, is it Revolution? Yeah, they play Hex offense too. So I think it would be fun to watch them, if not play them. Scared to play them, but definitely fun to see other teams run a system like us. And obviously they're a super established team in the sense that they've created quite a name for themselves, and that I think I would really enjoy the matchups there. And I know that we are fans of some of their players big time, so that would be awesome. I think generally just seeing those US teams, and like I expect they will be so clinical, so I think it would just be a masterclass really, and see how we can like bring our defense against them. That would be fun.
Yeah, no, it's good that you mentioned Revo, because I think they're probably my favorite team in the world to watch of any division or any team. I think they're so exciting. So yeah, that I'm hoping that I have like a bit of downtime when they're playing, and I can just go chill and watch them. So you're in a position that we see a decent amount of Frisbee people in, where you get to play on the same pitch as one of your siblings, and you two seem pretty tight. So what does it mean to you to get to play with Kate at Worlds this year?
It's sort of like the best feeling ever, to be honest, without gushing too much. Last season, we played on the same team, but we didn't get to play on the same line. This season, we've been able to play a little bit more on the same line, and hopefully we'll continue to have that opportunity at the coach's discretion. But I think it's pretty special, to be honest. And as well, we handle together, and that definitely reads on pitch. I think we have a sort of similar style, and like I always know where she's going to be. She knows what I want to throw. So alongside, it's pretty special to be able to play on a world stage with your sister. It's also great to have Kate as a handler next to you, that's for sure.
Yeah, I saw a bit of you playing at Wind Farm, and you guys got that, you know, sibling telekinesis shit going on. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
so much fun. Yeah, it's crazy because the last time we played together on the same line was we played indoor juniors
Oh
for
wow,
Flux. So
right,
yeah, so we've not played
big
together
throwback.
for a really, really long time.
Yeah,
So it's pretty special.
that's awesome. So yeah, I guess I mentioned it earlier on in the interview, but Heather is in fact like my PT for this season, and we chat about a lot of different things, but not just S&C related. And one of the things we've talked about a few times are kind of various like gender equity issues in Ultimate. So I guess I'd love to get your take on like, what do you think we as players, as coaches, tournament organizers, media outlets, governing bodies, like what can we be doing better to promote better equity in Ultimate? And I guess not just for in like the gender equity space, I guess, but just for any minority groups at all.
I think if you ask any female player, I think you would find they have an experience that feels undermining in the sport, I would say. Whether it's an experience on a mixed team where you might feel like you're at a pretty good level and any player on a mixed team should be used, but you feel like you're being looked off. I think that's a pretty common one. Or for example, like more recently at Windmill, there was comments about celebrations that felt very like from the commentators that felt very like gendered in terms of like what's the word I'm looking for, describing the way that the women's teams were displaying emotions in a sort of more negative way than they would for the open division. And I think we just need to be a bit more aware of like the language we use or the way we treat players in this space to be more, I guess equal is the word. I'm not really the best at expressing this. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is be aware of the language that you use towards other players. Be aware of your actions that you use when you're on pitch with them, but also off pitch. How do you acknowledge players differently or the same? Like, I think it's just about recognizing your own habits and changing them. Essentially, like if you wouldn't say that about a male player, then you don't say it about a female player. I think that's how I would describe my feelings about that.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, no, absolutely fair.
But maybe that comes from a personal experience.
No, I think like, I mean, it's absolutely fine to take it from a personal experience. I mean, otherwise we're just drawing on experiences of others, and we might not necessarily be able to relate. And I certainly know that I come from that privileged position of being kind of like the more dominant gender in terms of player base, and it's a privilege that I can't necessarily then put myself in your shoes a lot of the time. So speaking from experience is absolutely fine. So I guess the last few questions, then we can wrap things up. Looking past the season, what does the future hold for you? Like, is it going to be more Frisbee, or any intentions of kind of stepping back and focusing on other stuff?
Well, I've got to say, like playing with Spice, like I was almost on the brink of leaving Frisbee behind, and I definitely don't see that anytime soon now. Nice. I feel like it's like lit a fire in my belly. I'm ready to go out there and keep developing as a player. I think that's one of the benefits of having the watchful eyes of such amazing coaches on our team, is getting personal feedback every training session.
That's great.
Whenever we want it, it's like I can develop as a player in this space really well. So for me, it's just like I just want to keep on the what I think is an upward trend as a player. Keep developing, keep learning. Then outside of Frisbee, again, like I was saying, I just want to continue as I'm going back to uni and continue with my studies basically, and hopefully work towards coaching athletes. That's the goal.
Awesome. So we do have a question from one of your fans who wants me to ask about your 6 meals a day.
Okay. I basically live on protein bars.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, but 6 meals a day are basically essentially protein bars, cereal, and toast. So yeah, pro athlete.
The athlete's diet, no, strong. Because when this person asked me to ask you about your 6 meals a day, me knowing you as I do, I said her 6 cereals.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
I thought was quite.
It's
quite
like
good.
which cereal should I choose for my meal? That's where I'm at.
Yeah, for sure. No, very good, because they also mentioned the protein bars, so that was good.
Thanks to whoever that was.
M. Potter. Anyway.
My hottest take on
Yeah.
Frisbee.
Yeah. I'm asking everyone this.
Oh my god, I could have done with a bit of prep to think about it. My hottest
Yeah.
take on Ultimate Frisbee.
It doesn't have to be your absolute hottest. It could just be like a hot take.
Bring back long shorts.
Bring back long shorts. Wow.
No, that was a lie. That's a complete lie.
Yeah.
My hottest take on Ultimate Frisbee. We could do with putting more emphasis on coaching as a role, instead of just having players
Yeah.
as coaches.
Yeah.
That's probably what I would say we could take.
I feel like that's
take
almost
forward.
not even a hot take. That is just
No,
truth.
it's not really, is
Yeah.
it?
No, it's
Rubbish.
fine though. It's
Put me
fine.
on the spot.
Yeah.
I'm not very controversial.
Yeah, not when you have seconds to think about it. No, that's obviously fair. I think it's a good shout, and it's something that has come up in the other interviews I've done as well, is that, you know, we were talking about the difference in style of play and the disparity between, say, the European game and the American game and North American game, and, you know, one of the things that came out was almost every single club team in the States has a non-playing coach, and that is wild, because in the UK there's maybe like 4 or 5 teams who can boast that. So yeah. Cool. So here we are, quick fire round, 10 questions submitted by the fans, and by the fans I mean largely me. So favorite tournament snack?
Peanut butter sandwiches.
Okay. Favorite pump up song or artist?
Oh gosh, I like to listen to Spice Girl.
Oh, of course you do.
By Aminé.
Yeah. No, I say that from a perspective of like a Spice player listening to that, you know, that kind of genre.
That's our little anthem from last year. So
love that.
I still like it now.
I do love that.
Yeah.
Favorite team to play against?
So far, Iceni.
Okay. Least favorite team to play against?
Oh, our own D line.
Yikes. Okay. Yeah. Love that. Favorite tournament?
Nationals.
Yeah, fair. Favorite exercise to include in climb programs?
Probably I just love a squat, to be honest. Can't go wrong with a squat.
Yeah. I hear as well, so this is a little sidetrack from the 10 questions, I hear that you have a goal of getting all the Spice lot to smash a pull-up.
Yeah, and we're very much well on our way. I think a very good proportion of the Spice team can now do a pull-up. Yeah.
Let's fucking go. Nice.
And if you follow any of my online stuff, like, you'll see that I get a lot of my clients doing that too. I think it's super empowering.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, no, I do. I've seen maybe in the last day or two as well that not only have some of your clients hit their first pull-up, but they've smashed their second one out in a row as well. So the system works. If anyone's watching, get in touch. So cut one, keep one. Amy or Potter?
Well, one's already out. So.
Well, let's go back a month where both of them were fit.
Okay, cut.
This is so weird, I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, this puts me in a very difficult position.
Yeah.
Let's cut Potter because I can play with my sister then.
Okay, fair. Sorry, are things on fire or is fire on things?
Oh, what?
Are things on fire or is fire on things?
Fires on things.
Yeah, right answer. If a tomato is a fruit, is ketchup a smoothie?
That's disgusting.
Why? Just 'cause you just don't like tomatoes, or?
let's just say ketchup is not a smoothie.
Okay, sweet.
So that.
And then final question, would you withdraw from WUCC to be guaranteed to win at Nationals?
Like personally or the team?
You. Oh no, sorry, as in like you would have to like officially withdraw Spice on behalf of the team, but you're guaranteed to win at Nats.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Okay. That's
No.
big, that's big.
WUCC is an experience, and there's more to Nats than coming first.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Cool. Well, that is all the questions that I have for you. Is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't?
No, I think we covered a lot of things, none of which I was expecting. So I feel very caught off guard. I've done my best.
So that was my chat with Heather. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like this video. I'll have another episode up in the coming days talking to Bex Palmer of Reading and the World Games team from GB. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you know when I post up new content. Also follow me over on twitch.tv/itshoagie so you know when I go live with SendIt streams. If you're still watching at this point, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'll catch you again for another episode. See you soon.